In this video essay, I will be looking into how social media such as Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, YouTube and LinkedIn is affecting creativity, with references to academic resources, an interview and correspondence with people in creative industries. I have interviewed ghostwriter Tom Henry, whose various books include Orphan of Islam, Three and Out and Good Innings. I have corresponded with photographer Richard Gale, who restores camera lenses for the photographic and motion picture industries, as well as John Coe, director of graphic design company Co-Creative and creator of Bone Shaker magazine. Creativity has been defined in various ways in the fields of business, literature, arts, science and so on. It does not necessarily mean to create something totally new out of nothing. In fact, according to the findings of Hagedorn, every creative act has one thing in common: doing new things with old things, innovation. Creativity has to do with development, proposal and implementation of new and better solutions with the efficient application of current solution. Experts often define creativity by linking it to a variety of features or aspects such as skills, behaviours, technology, capabilities and so on. Many creative organisations give high importance to knowledge and imagination and tend to be committed to experimentation and innovation, but also put strategic importance on fast growth and attainment of new resources. As Sawyer argued, all innovation has its roots in collaboration, even those such seemingly solitary acts as writing, where our image is one of solitude and inner inspiration. In a world where technology is going from strength to strength, it is becoming increasingly apparent that the need for understanding information technology is essential, as it plays a vital role when it comes to its influence on organisational structure, cooperation, cost reduction and organisational integration processes. Past research shows that social networks play a vital role in determining the way problems are solved, organisations are run and the degree to which individuals succeed in achieving their goals. But what is a social network and social media? According to Saif Hossain in his journal article, Creativity, Social Networking and Changing Business Communication, a social network is a structure made of persons, businesses or organisations denoted as nodes, all interconnected by things we have in common.
Well, social media really, for me, is communication. I wouldn't want to make it any more complicated than that, really. It's a new tool to deal with an old issue.
The term social media denotes a wealth of types of online spaces and participation. Barnes defines social media as the organisational and software procedures that control the exchange of interpersonal information. It is quite a broad term and is used in an umbrella to describe a range of social software and social networking applications that allow individuals to communicate with one another and track discussions across the web. Tim O'Reilly advanced a community and media phenomenon under the flag Web2, which the denominators in social web are Wikipedia, Twitter, YouTube, Flickr, Instagram and Facebook. A central argument in the social media debate is that it will have rapidly gained in popularity because they are technical tools which feel very human. Collective intelligence is often associated with the social web. This denotes the value formed by the joint contributions of all these people writing articles for Wikipedia, sharing tagged photos on Facebook, images on Instagram, or streaming personal blogs. The ability to share knowledge and resources has never been this extreme, where so many creative, knowledgeable minds are linked together through universal networks. Sawyer argues that collaboration drives creativity because innovation always emerges from a series of sparks, never a single flash of insight. This has resulted in the expansion of information and diversity of perspective, a culture of group contribution that maintains a hub of publicly available content. In Megan Knight's lecture on social media in theory and practice, she asserts you will need to exist on the internet in one form or another in order to have a career.
Either way, I think yes, you do need a presence on social media. Why? Because if you don't, then you're going to get left behind.
Social media is serving to form a new era in business transparency and engagement. Relying solely on beautifully crafted press releases is no longer enough. The rise of multi-platform full-screen technology, smartphones and tablets has changed social networking and the way we communicate with one another entirely. What used to sit on our desks now conveniently sits in the palm of our hands, allowing us to effortlessly utilise functionality wherever we go. But does this inability to disconnect from social media prevent important tasks being completed or hinder our creativity?
Who works in the creative industry will tell you that it's very, very hard to switch off from social media. I have to sort of tell myself, come on, off there, onto this. Reasonably regularly these days, it is addictive. I'm really wanting to work creatively, i.e. if I'm, perhaps working on something for my own personal thing, and maybe a short story or a play or something like that, I tend to take myself off, leave my phone at home, take myself off with a pen and paper.
As it turns out, a study by the online college courses called How Social Media is Killing Student Success argues that being so connected all the time comes with serious drawbacks. It can shorten attention spans, become addictive, lead to less diverse social groups, and even among student users, cause a marked drop down in academic performance. Unsurprisingly, the most popular social media platforms hinge on the capabilities of smartphones. Photo and video sharing applications such as Snapchat and Instagram, which exist entirely on mobiles and are now making it possible to have conversations with just images. But is it possible to have a proper narrative with just images? And can we learn from the Charlie Chaplins of the world who were doing their messaging without sound long before the internet? Photographer Richard Gale said he primarily uses Instagram and lets images do the talking. Jill Gray, the head of the UK creative shop for Facebook, discusses how, aside from immersing yourself in a virtual world, there are a host of other maverick techniques on the horizon for advertising on social media. Gray says that no sound storytelling is making a comeback, with subtitles and silence lending themselves well to newsfeed scrollers. Gray goes on to argue that the quality of advertising naturally tends to be higher on platforms like Instagram. The biggest difference between the two platforms is that Facebook is more about people and Instagram is more about passions. However, what about reading body language? How can this be done via social media, or is this something we have to adapt to?
But the Skype thing doesn't work for us as well as it should. It's technology, I guess, still a bit in its infancy, really. But I find that kind of reading body language, kind of just getting the non-verbal clues. To me, in the job I do, and trying to kind of read people and understand what their voice is and what it's going to sound like on paper, what it's going to look like on paper, it's essential that I see people.
Creativity is becoming increasingly understood as a system, composed of individuals, knowledge areas, and a field of informed experts. In this model, individuals build on culturally valued practices and designs to produce new variations in this area, which, if deemed valuable by the community, become part of what constitutes as the evolving domain. Most research that has utilised a system model of creativity refers to a panel of experts who act as a proxy for the field, providing evaluations of creative contributions. However, in social media, several problems emerge, the first of which is that the field is difficult to define because there are so many critics. For example, expertise is distributed amongst members, and crowdsourcing is becoming an increasingly common way to determine what constitutes the most creative contributions. For example, Amazon ratings, Facebook likes, and shares. What crowds gravitate towards may not be the most creative contributions. Just because something has lots of likes, shares, and views, does this give it more credibility and prominence?
A lot of people do seek validation. I see a lot of stuff on the internet from people who purport to be writers, photographers, filmmakers, musicians, etc., etc. And, a lot of it has not gone anywhere near the bullshit filter that it probably should have gone through, or would have gone through certainly 20 years ago, and would have never have come to the surface. That said, there's probably an awful lot of people who have been discovered who might never have been discovered, aggrandising out there, and I think a lot of people who, like I said, who claim to be artists, etc., are actually really, really good at social media and not very, very good at art.
Social media also calls notions of originality, intellectual property, and ethics into question. In a journal article by Lennart and Madden, Research showed that 39% of online teens electronically share original artistic creations, such as photos, stories, or videos, and 1 in 4 teens also report remixing content they found online into their own creations. Richard Gale said he noticed an onslaught of copycats who have used information he shared early on via social media to develop inferior copies of his work. This does bring some tensions that have always been true of creative work. That is, history has shown us that creative ideas build on ideas that came before them. Other criticism of the role of the social web suggests that traditional methods of creating work are being destroyed because of Web 2 technologies. Andrew Keane is particularly critical, referring to it as an ideology which is based upon a series of ethical assumptions about media, culture and technology. He argues that Web 2 worships the creative amateur and the self-taught filmmaker, the dorm room musician and the unpublished writer. He suggests that it empowers our creativity, democratises media, and levels the playing field between experts and amateurs. It is well known with anyone using social media that users tend to have more confidence when they can hide behind a keyboard.
People are definitely more critical behind the screen. Yeah, I mean, I think that's a given these days. You know, there's a lot of keyboard warriors out there who you would never say the things that they might say to you if you met them face to face. Maybe trolling you or kind of bad reviewing you or whatever is just another way of engaging you in some way or other.
As Keane goes on to argue, it is a technology that enables anyone with a computer to become an author, a film director or a musician. This Web 2 dream is a Socrates nightmare, technology that arms every citizen with the means to be an opinionated artist or writer. In Keane's highly critical article, he describes how Web 2 technology was summarised at the Technology, Education and Design show in Monterey in 2005 by Kevin Kelly, who said,
"Imagine Mozart before the technology of the piano was invented. What a loss to society that would be. Imagine Van Gogh being born before the technologies of cheap oil paints. Imagine Hitchcock before the technologies of film."
Keane goes on to assert the moral obligation we have to question the development of technology and the dangerous consequences Web 2 has on the vitality of culture and the arts. Where some of his points raise interesting prose about social media and Web 2, he brings up strong opinions and comparisons about the narcissistic nature of these technologies and how this culture is a reflection of ourselves rather than the world around us. The nature of Google adverts is based on our search history. I mentioned previously how companies are personalising advertising to specifically target individuals' preferences, and Gray argued how, while the internet's ability to know everything about us can seem unnerving, it provides brands with the opportunity to fine-tune its content to really make its audiences feel involved, thus feeding our own tastes. Keane argues how, instead of Mozart, Van Gogh or Hitchcock, all we get with Web 2 revolution is more of ourselves. Are we spending too much time caring what we look like or how others perceive us? John Coe thinks the modern day designer probably spends a lot of time and thought on social media and how they are representing themselves. Not a bad thing necessarily, but can be a distraction to honing your actual design skills. A study into social media gave 2 professionals a difficult task to complete, giving one access to the internet and not to the other one. The first adult performed the task not only quicker, but better as well.
I found myself mending a car headlight the other day with my computer sat on the car engine and watching someone on YouTube doing it. But somebody has had the initiative and the nous to think, alright, this might be a tricky job, let me film it, I know what to do, and put it online.
Research shows how traditional elitist media is being destroyed by digital technologies. Newspapers are going online, network television is now downloadable from the internet, and the iPod is taking over the music industry. With all this readily available information online, do we have too many resources and not enough decent content?
Find that information online, collated all into one place, and when I do, I always find it lacking in some ways. So
it can be said that creativity and innovation are essential ingredients for the survival and advancement of organisations in today's world. The need for innovation is supported by changes in information technology, and one such innovation is social networking. The way new Van Goghs, Mozarts and David Bowies are discovered is now hugely sourced from such social networking sites. Whether we like it or not, we are expected to be more and more transparent and personal, appealing directly to clients' personal preferences and needs. This does not eradicate the need for traditional print advertising, but allows an innovative type of communication to take place which is changing the way we do business.
One of the problems really in some ways not being a digital native is that you can feel incredibly overwhelmed by social media and not really know how to engage it so that you see the point. I would probably engage it more, I think, and would use it more. I just need to learn how to be smarter with it.
While it has been said that social media can have a negative impact on your brain, such as procrastination, narcissistic tendencies, and a search for validation, it is not the tool itself that is the problem, but how you use it. Whether we like it or not, social media is here to stay, and Hossein argued that those who are reluctant may lag behind in a world of competition. And Gray discussed how it is important to think people first. If it is the mode of communication that people prefer, then you should give them that experience. Being smarter with social media may therefore lead to being a good business person, and those who cannot adjust to the innovation of social media could be in a very disadvantageous situation.